Shalom. Well, those of you following the odyssey of my beard, you'll see that it's back. I went away for a couple of weeks and decided to try it out again, and my kids wanted it back, so it looks like it's back. This is Beshalach. I have another one on Jewu 3:14 on the issue of the evidence for the Exodus, but this is more of a Devar Torah on Beshalach, which when I'm recording this we read in the synagogue last week, but I think still some important messages for us. First of all, there's the very famous scene in Exodus 14 where the Israelites are between a rock and a hard place. Behind them, they see the approaching Egyptian army. This is right after they got out of Egypt. And in front of them is the Red Sea. And they can't go back because they're going to get crushed by the chariots coming at them. So, of course, they cry out in frustration to Moses. Now, the Torah doesn't say that Moses cries out to God, but he must have, because God says to him something very interesting. What would you expect God to say to Moses in that situation? But God says, Mati take Eli, why are you crying out to me, Moses? Do something. Lift up your rod, stretch forth your hand, and go forward. Well, the water doesn't part then. According to the Midrash, the legendary rabbinic stories, a fellow named Nachshon ben Aminadav jumps into the water and gets all the way up to where he's about to drown, and then the water opens. So that when we confront a difficult situation, we feel like we're between a rock and a hard place. God is saying, look, you can cry to me, you can pray to me, but don't just cry to me, do something about it. Jump forward, make a plan, take action. The second thing is that at the beginning of the Torah portion, when they got out of Egypt, it says that God took them not the short way, but the long way, because the short way would have been up the coast of the Philistines, like Gaza and Ashkelon. They would have been afraid, so God rather took them a long way. Now, there's a lot of different classic explanations for that, but my favorite is from the Talmud, which says that sometimes the long way is the short way, and the short way is the long way. And that's something we all have to learn in our life. We know that getting something the easy way doesn't always prove to be, in the end, the best thing, that struggling and work for something makes lifelong lessons that are much more valuable. And that's why I think we can learn that from this passage, that God didn't take them the short way, but took them the long way. And then we have the very fascinating, beautiful poem of the Song of the Sea, including the phrase, Mi chamocha be'elim Adonai, chapter 15 of Exodus. It's actually done in poetic song, and it's part of our liturgy every morning during the Shacharit service. But the classic question is, how do the Israelites feel? Now, they're in the middle of the greatest miracle of all time, but it wasn't obviously a paved road. It was sandy and yucky, and there was seaweed and starfish, and their feet were wet, and they were wearing sandals, not Timberlane boots. So there's a midrash that Rabbi Larry Hoffman has in his book, When God Was in This Place, I Didn't Know It, where he talks about how Shimon and Reuven are saying to one another, in the middle of the greatest miracle of all time, God, my feet are wet and my feet hurt. They're sloppy down here, and they're just complaining about their daily circumstances, not realizing they're in such a great miracle. And how one of the beauties of Judaism is trying to turn our attention away from the details of life to help us see the miracle of life. That's why we say brachot 100 times a day. I mean, think about what it means in your life, excuse me, when you're saying 100 times a day, blessed are you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe. It makes a huge difference. And so those are some of the basic messages about Beshalach. Again, that it's very easy to just complain, but God is saying do something about it. It's also understanding that when we're facing tough challenges, to know that sometimes the tougher the way, the better the way. It really is the shorter way, because the shorter way turns out to be the longer way, a lot in the long run. And finally, to express appreciation for the beautiful world we live in, and not just go through our life in the middle of this great miracle expressing complaints about how our feet are getting wet. Shalom.